He's now the head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels. We welcome Chris Beard to our microphones. Coach, it's good to have you with us.
Glad to be on, guys.
Before we go Ole Miss, give me one or two memories of that run that you'll always remember.
Yeah, that was a team that I'll never forget, not just because of the success, winning the Big 12 championship and playing on Monday night, but really that was a group that came together kind of in a one-year setting. Um, in today's college basketball, where we're all talking about the portal and this and that, that was kind of a team out of its time. We had two grad transfers in the team with Matt Murray and Owens playing their only year at Texas Tech. We had a freshman, Kyler Edwards, that we were really relying on, and we had some returners. But in a lot of ways, we think about that team often because it's kind of what college basketball has become now, trying to put a team together quickly.
When did you know that year, oh my God, we play defense like virtually nobody?
Yeah, defense has always been our identity, not only at Texas Tech, but all the places we've been blessed to coach over the years, starting at Fort Scott Community College, my junior college days. We've always wanted to be a team that's difficult to score against. And, in our sport, to win a national championship, you have to win 6 games in 3 weekends. And I've always told the players, I don't think we can rely on shooting or offense or great officiating for 6 games. But what we can make our staple is, a defense that's hard to score against. And so it's kind of always been our identity. With that team, there was some steps along the way that all gave us some confidence that we could play at the highest stage. We played Duke earlier in that year in Madison Square Garden. I think it was a December game. Duke was really good that year with Coach K, as always, and it was a game that we really competed in and played on a national stage. When I think back to that Texas Tech team, that Duke game always kind of comes to my mind because that was an early indicator that gave our players a lot of confidence that we could play with anybody.
I know you've been asked this a lot. We're in football country, but boy, it seems like the SEC has really stepped it up in basketball, especially in terms of coaches. What, in your mind, how do you compare what you dealt with in the Big 12 to 1 year so far in the SEC?
Yeah, I get that asked that question often, and the first thing is it's not the most complicated answer. They're very similar. To me, it starts with great Hall of Fame coaching, guys that are in the Hall of Fame or guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame. The players, undeniable. The SEC's had more NBA players the last couple of years, more teams in the NCAA tournament, very similar to my time in the Big 12. So you've got really good coaching, you've got really good players. I've been really impressed in my short time in the SEC, just in the venues in this league. Everywhere we traveled last year was basically a sold-out crowd with passionate fans, rooting against us. So I think there's a lot of similarities in the leagues. Differences. Haven't probably been here long enough to have a strong opinion, but I do know this league is as athletic as any league in college basketball, and that's been a real opportunity and challenge and really fun to coach against.
In the background behind you is this new SJB pavilion. Now, I got to admit, I'm old enough. I did a lot of games in the old Tad Pad when I was doing Vandy, the only arena in America that had a water fountain 5 feet from the bench. I always thought that was a little unusual. But all of a sudden, you come in there and boom, the students buy in, everybody buys in, and this place became a snake pit to try to win in. What did you do to try to help that?
Well, that's important to us. I think all coaches and all programs have different philosophies. Our philosophy has always been to try to create a home court advantage. I think you look at the teams in college basketball that compete for championships on a yearly basis. There's going to be a lot of differences, style of play, locations, this and that. But the one common thing I think for all teams that have consistency is a home court advantage. You got to win your home games in college basketball. So along the way, we've always valued, relationship with our student body. And here at Ole Miss, no different. And we got off to a great start last year. It starts with the momentum that's on our campus right now with Lane Kiffin and the football team. Baseball won a natty a couple years ago. Women's basketball is rolling. So I knew there was a fan base here. We just got to do our part. And I was really proud of our first year in Oxford. Ultimately, we didn't win as many games on the scoreboard as we all like, but there's no denying some of our success year one. And probably the thing that we did the best was just our increase in attendance. Basically, season tickets are sold out. We had standing room only in our student section most of the SEC games. So there's a lot of momentum right now here with our basketball program, and you got to give our student body credit for kind of being the foundation of that.
That's got to be a great feeling for you.
Yeah, it helps in recruiting. It helps on game night. Players enjoy playing in front of great atmospheres. We do a lot of things on campus to be active. We try to have a two-way friendship with our students, not just one way. We ask a lot of them in terms of supporting our team, but we also try to return those favors and being very active on campus with all the other events, groups, organizations, sporting teams. So to me, that's what college basketball is. I've been blessed to coach professional basketball in two different settings and have a lot of respect for all levels. But when I think of college basketball and its beauty, it's the fans, it's the student bodies. And so we're off to a great start here at Ole Miss.
Sure are. Ole Miss basketball coach Chris Beard on the line with us. Kelly, what do you got for him?
Coach, how you doing?
Not bad. We just had our seventh practice of the summer.
Nice.
We're throwing the ball all over the place like we're the Salvation Army. Anybody can come in and take what they want, but our effort is really good right now. So I'm actually in a decent mood because I think our guys are playing really hard, and I think they're trying to play as a team, which is always, new team, new players, summertime. That's what we strive for.
Nice. So when I was playing for the Indianapolis Colts, we were fortunate enough to have the director of of Hoosiers come by, and he just so happened to bring Coach Bobby Knight. And Coach Knight talked with us. So what did you learn from Coach Knight over the years? Because I saw where you coached with him for quite a long time. So what were your takes, and what did you learn from Bobby Knight?
Yeah, I'm proud of my time with Coach Knight. I spent basically every day for 8 years with him. And, was blessed to spend a little bit more time with him after coaching with him. But, Coach and his son Pat were just really instrumental in my career. It was like getting a PhD in coaching every day. Obviously, from a basketball standpoint, the X's and O's, there's no one ever that's done this any better. But equally important was some of the things off the court, the idea of preparation, the idea of discipline, the idea of taking care of your players off the court, graduation rate. So I could talk all day about Coach Knight. Nobody's made a bigger impact on my life besides my own parents than Bob and Pat Knight.
Would he have been able to adjust in today's college athletics with all the stuff that's going on, the challenges that you have to step into with the NIL and transfer portal? Talk a little bit about that. But could he have adjusted to that, you think?
Yeah, I have a really strong opinion on this. Yes, he could have adjusted because he was the best at what he did. But would he be wanted to do this? I would say no. So he definitely could have figured it out. But would he be wanted to do it? No way.
So from your time when you first started coaching, playing and grad assistant, first started how has the game changed in your mind to what it was to what it is now?
Yeah, in my opinion, all the things around the game have changed. Certainly in my lifetime, it starts kind of with television and cable television and games being on everywhere. And it's obviously cell phones and it's email, it's internet, social media. Now, obviously, name, image, and likeness, portal. So I think all the things around the game have changed. But really, in my opinion, and some might agree, most might disagree, I don't think the actual game's changed much. It's about 5 guys on the court trying to put the ball in the basket. And on the other end, it's about trying to keep the ball out of the basket. And so some of the things that we learned long ago still matter, whether it be getting a rebound or sharing the ball or getting to the free throw line more than your opponent. So I'm a big believer that all the things around the game have changed. But at the end of the day, it's still basketball. And the things that Coach Knight or Coach Iba before him or Clairby or all the greats in our game, it's still basketball.
What made this is my last question? What made the job at Ole Miss intriguing to you? Obviously money. Obviously we get that, but like what intrigued you about the Ole Miss job? Was it being in the SEC? Because Greg Sankey talked about it a couple of years ago. He wanted, basketball, and George even talked about it. He wanted basketball to get better, and now you've got some great young coaches. You got yourself. I mean, this league is no longer just Kentucky; it's everybody. So, what led you to Ole Miss?
Yeah, great question. I mean, obviously, SEC, college town, Ole Miss's tradition. But on this one, this job decision was very specific answer to that question. It was the people. When I had a chance to meet Keith Carter, the athletic director, and Glenn Boyce, the chancellor here, just hearing their vision for men's basketball at Ole Miss, hearing their passion for Oxford, Mississippi, their belief that we could do some things that maybe other people don't believe we can do. It was really a personal decision on this job choice with those two guys. And I remain as confident as ever and really as happy as ever that we're here working with those guys. But really the chancellor and the AD made this a very easy decision. This is one of the best jobs in the country, in my opinion. We got to do our part and start competing for championships and start putting some players in the NBA draft. And once we do those things, I think everybody will agree with what I'm saying now. This is a special basketball job.
Coach, you want a good Bobby Knight story?
Yes.
Okay. This is, unfortunately, part of this means I'm getting old. July of 1984, Bobby Knight is the U.S. Olympic basketball team head coach. And before they go win the gold medal, they do a series of exhibition games around the country. And one of the coaches on his staff, like a second father to me, C.M. Newton. So Coach Newton gets me tickets. It's going to be the United States Olympic team against the Larry Bird All-Stars. And they are opening, Kelly, this brand new facility that you played in called the Hoosier Dome. So there are 68,000 people. At that time, the largest basketball crowd in the history of the United States. And I'm telling you, first of all, everybody else is out on the court. As you know, Knight would do this. He'd wait till near the end, and he comes walking out about 1 minute beforehand. And my God, I have never heard an ovation like that.
Coach talked about that summer preparing that team often. I think it's in several of his books, and he always had some personal stories about his experiences with USA basketball.
What an interesting guy he was. What an experience. You realized you could write a book off of that.
Yeah, I thought about that. A lot of things in that book probably can be told. A few things in that book will never be told. I'll leave it at that.
No, I gave you the best clean story I had on Coach Knight. Someday when I meet you, I've got a better one that you'll really enjoy. Hey, thank you for taking the time to do this. I've never met Keith Carter, but when I was doing Vanderbilt games, he torched us one night down at the old Tad Pad. Never that evening did I dream he'd be your school's athletic director.
You guys should have him on sometime. He's got great stories about himself. He's got stories about, Ole Miss football and the amazing thing Lane's doing right now. He'd be a good guest.
Hey, thank you for doing this, and we'll figure out how to do that. Coach, thanks for coming on with us.
Appreciate
You're welcome. You guys have a great week.
Chris
Thanks,
Beard, he will do a great job at Ole Miss.